Hello and welcome to week one of a new Antepost series I'll be doing, Ante-up, we've named it. We're looking forward towards the Cheltenham Festival for next year, and each week we'll be giving you a selection. Now, along the bottom, I've tried to mimic some sort of cool visuals. There's a ticker bar going across with the notable weekend entries. So some decent racing at Punchestown. There's some decent racing at Cheltenham, of course, it's the November meeting. That'll be a theme that I'll carry on doing each week. But let me introduce my co-host, Matt Holmes. Matt, how you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Obviously, not great with us going back into lockdown, but at least we've got the racing to keep us occupied during the time. So, yeah, not too bad.
Absolutely. And we can't get any stick now, can we, for having to sit at home and spend more time on our phones looking at horse racing? It's the prime time to be getting involved. So, with that in mind, I just want to get something out of the way before we get too far into the episode. Up in the Ante, obviously, do a very similar series to this. You'll see the differences in the fact that we're just going to be, hopefully, quite short and sweet with the episodes. I made reference to their videos mainly because they are the benchmarker for doing this. They're the only people out there putting their name on the line and giving an Antepost bet for Cheltenham. Now, I respect what they do. I love what they do. I've shared it on the page for all the years they've been involved with it. But I've been asked by a lot of people to do something similar myself. And I don't see any reason why we can't do that. Everyone's allowed to do what they want in terms of Antepost bets, all that sort of stuff. Because I'm a nice guy, though, I feel like to show some sort of level of respect for it. I said to Matt before we started recording this that we're never allowed to pick the same horse as them. So they get first dibs. And I mentioned this before, that I said I was going to record straight after Up in the Ante. I want to watch and see what they've done each week, as much as you guys do. But also, I don't want to be putting up the same selection as them. I don't see what the point is. There's no reason why you can't watch both shows. Obviously, you can pick a favourite if you want. You don't have to watch this. I mean, you're watching it now, so you might as well carry on. But I'm just saying that those guys are there. We're doing our thing. We're all in the same boat. Everyone's just a punter trying to give a bit of an opinion, give a bit of advice, and take it or leave it, essentially. So that's enough of that. We need to get ourselves into the Antepost preview, Matt. Now, I said we're not going to talk so much about reviewing the action or previewing the action for the weekend coming up. I'll do a separate preview video, which you can see on the YouTube channel. So subscribe and you'll get notified about that. But as the weeks go on, we probably will look back because obviously we've got week two. We'll be talking about something that might have happened in week one selections if we put something up that's running this weekend. Now, Matt, I don't actually know what you've put up, so that'll be a surprise for me. But before you give the viewers your selection, we've been speaking for a couple of years about Antepost punting. The reason you're invited on here is because I know you're a judge. I know you've got the same passion as I've got for Antepost punting, and I know you've got a good eye for it. We've actually worked out now it's because of our date of birth. But aside from the date of birth aspect of it, can you give guys like a bit of a rundown about like the time you've been Antepost punting, the things you think are important to maybe think about, especially this time of year?
Yeah, I've probably only been doing it sort of 3 or 4 years more seriously. But in terms of how I would play it is information gathering's a big thing. Getting the horses that you want in your tracker, making lists of horses that you think you're going to need to back later on. Now, some of them you maybe want to back early if you think they're going to shorten before they get an entry. But in the main, I'd probably say you wait for an entry and then think about whether you need to back it for Cheltenham. I'm always thinking ahead. So you might see one that's an odds on the shot on the day. It's not a backable price, but you need to be thinking what that means down the line for Cheltenham. So it might be odds on the day this week, but it might be 40-1 for a novice hurdle at Cheltenham. When it goes and wins by 20 lengths on the bridle, it's maybe half that price. So you need to be thinking when to make your play, especially if you can utilise cash out, then more the better.
Yeah, superb. So I feel like you've probably hinted there that you're about to put up a 40-1 shot for a novice hurdle. I don't know what you're going to put up, but I think it's what you've just said there is like right there. You need to keep horses on your radar. You need to be looking for entries. I've banded about with my bet loader recently, my bets that I've put on for this season. That's not me, I'm not trying to gloat or anything like that. There was some absolute howlers in there, but it's more just the fact of I've got a tool that I've built. I want to help you guys. That's the whole point of building this sort of community out of it. With those bets, like Matt said there, the best thing you can really be doing is give yourself an idea of the horses you want to back, and then you want to wait for the right time to back them. Now, that may be you've got some money in your betting accounts you want to get the bets on. Fair enough, do it that way. But when there's an entry, that's normally when the market might typically move. And as the weeks go on with the episodes that we'll be recording for this, we're going to have all of that in mind. So we're really going to be looking at the selections that we've got. I mean, I know I've got a handful that I could put up for week one. I'm sure Matt's exactly the same. But we're going to be looking at probably the best time to break those selections to you in terms of getting the best value for all of the selections we're putting up. So look, without further ado, Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot this week first. I need to know what you're putting up for week 1 of Ante-Up.
It's Min for the Ryanair, 10-1. He's a horse that I think's constantly underrated, to be honest with you, but his record speaks for itself for me. In 19 runs over hurdles and fences for Willie Mullins, he's won 11 times, finished second 6 times, fourth once when he was probably over the top at Punchestown at the end of the season, and then 5th when hold-up tactics didn't work when they were trying to get Alti or beat in the champion chase. He's probably always been a 2.5 mile horse for me, but his class has seen him through at 2 miles. So now we're seeing him at the Ryanair trip. I think we're seeing the best of him. And his record over 2.5 reads 1-2, 1-1, 1-1. We know that's where he's going to be going. And his nearest rivals have still got to prove, on his nearest rivals in the market at the moment, have still got to prove that they can get up to Min's level in open company. And they're all around the same price. So at 10-1, Min will do for me for the Ryanair.
Yeah, superb. And I think it's really important to mention all those aspects in there, like the novices that have to step into open company. I think you're gearing toward mentioning Allaho there. We said we would refrain from mentioning other horses, but again, Albert Bartlett and on RSA, they're over longer trips, again in novice company. He probably could have been suited to a JLT last year, but there are question marks around those sort of things. Min was about the same price this time last year, I think. We didn't know for definite that he was going to go for a Ryanair. I think a lot of people thought he would. He's got him one a Ryanair, so I can see exactly why you put him up. I'm glad you've put Min up, though, because I was actually worried for week 1 we'd have an absolute howler. We both think of the same horse, because how anybody could not be steaming Paisley Park for the Stairs Hurdle. He's going to be my week 1 selection. Paisley Park still available at 7-1. That's with Bet365. So the cash out you talked about utilising, we can get that with him. Your selection, Min, we can get it with Betfair, Paddy Power. They're offering cash outs as well. But before I touch on Paisley Park anymore, I mean, I don't even really need to give much of a justification. You guys will know why I'm putting this up. But the cash out side that we've talked about there, look, on my page, I will share the news as quickly as I hear it of whether there's any injuries or anything like that. And over the last few years, we have managed to get a significant amount of our stake back from those bits of news. I mean, I know I have. It's up to you guys what you do with it in terms of notifications, etc. But we're always going to try and do that in our episodes. Now, Up in the Ante is affiliated with a bookmaker, and I'm not saying for any reason that they're forcing you to bet a horse because it suits the bookmaker. They're not doing that in the slightest, but I mean they're having to quote you a single bookmaker's price. We can obviously pick from whatever we like of the open market, but we are really going to be looking at the main bookmakers, and we're also going to hopefully be looking for bookmakers with cash out. So this week it works so we can give you top prize with those. I just mean we're trying to be conscious of all that sort of stuff, responsible gambling, etc., etc. The other benefit of the cash out is if the horses flop, you don't agree with us in 6 months' time, or you just need the cash, you've got the option to cash it out. But Paisley Park was 4-6 favourite for the Stairs Hurdle last year. What Apple's Jade was doing was, I still don't even know now when I watch it back. Richard Johnson was killing me earlier, and I just didn't think that was going to suit Paisley anyway. We knew that the reason he got beat was because of a heart issue. I feel like we're taking 7-1 about the horse to have come back okay from that heart issue. Don't think the renewal this year looks any better than last year, and I think last year was pretty weak as it was. His main danger, I think, probably in Time Hill, they're probably going to face off in a couple of weeks of the Hennessy meeting. They're going to be running against each other in the long distance hurdle. I just look at it and I just think he wasn't very good at Newbury. Not saying that's going to be the best we're going to see of Time Hill, but I just think in terms of comparisons, Paisley Park was pretty good in the race last year. It's fairly hot. Paisley Park's only going to shorten in price now. It was probably half this price this time last year. Paisley Park's on the team sheet. I don't even really need to justify it anymore. Matt, do you think I'm mad, or do you think I'm a genius like everyone else?
Somewhere in between, but I do like Paisley Park, mate. Yeah, I can't disagree with you. Like you say, if he's back to his best, I think he'll take all the beating.
Absolutely. And I actually do think, I'll say it now, I don't even think he needs to be his best. I reckon 80% Paisley would do this lot in. But yeah, we're going to try and keep these short to just the point of the selection. We've already got a couple on the radar for the next week. In fact, the next couple of weeks, like Matt said, we're looking at entries and all that sort of stuff. I'll link up to that video that I mentioned before about the bet loader. There'll be a preview for the weekend that I'll be recording with Jamie for the weekend's action, because there is some really tasty action. Punchestown, Cheltenham. We'll probably review that a little bit in next week's episode, but there are selections for week 1. Let us know in the comments below if you disagree, agree, or what you guys are fancying this far out. Thanks very much for all your support. We'll see you next week for much of the same.